Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. Sorry it's been a while since I've done a video. I do have about 3 or 4 other videos to upload on just bits and pieces really that I don't feel happy about, and I've just not felt motivated to edit the videos. Mostly CD based things. I'm still waiting for a ribbon for my PS2. I added a mod chip to that, and it's part and parcel of that. I was trying to adjust the laser voltage to better read CDRs and DVDRs and stuff, and started getting problems with the ribbon. As you've seen in a previous video for the PS2 there, the flex ribbon was already sort of damaged, and I guess some of the connections are a bit worn in there, because as soon as you push the ribbon a particular way, it starts to read, and you let go and it's not able to read. It starts trying to seek to unusual places and things, like there's a problem with the switch that detects the home position. Yeah, anyway, top and bottom of it, yeah, lots of problems with different things that have just pissed me off. But anyway, I thought I'd just film this because it's something I'm doing, and I thought, I may as well do it while I'm here. It's only going to take me 20 minutes to edit this particular video, and it might motivate me to upload some of the other ones and edit the other ones I need to do as well. But anyway, as you can see, looking at my Sega Saturn here, and what I've got for this today is a mod chip, just to bypass the disk authentication, if you like. This comes with 2 different ribbons. I think one's got 21 pins, one's got 20, and there's a board there. You can't really see it very well, I'll get it out in a minute, but you've got 2 lots of connectors, 2 lots for the 20, 2 lots for the 21, and the idea being that this is a dual purpose. It will work with the different revisions of the Saturn. You take the ribbon out of the board, where the CD goes into the board now, and you connect one of the short ribbons up to one side, and then connect your CD unit to the other. And as I say, there's 2 different sizes, 2 different lots there for the 2 different types of ribbon, and I think there's a jumper or something underneath that you need to change the solder position of, depending on which of those 2 sizes of ribbon you need. So I'll just whip the lid off now. Shown this all before, really. There's not a lot to it with these. So I think there's like 4 or 5 screws. You've just got the screws here underneath, on the back there. Yeah, there's 5, I think. So get those off, and should be good. So once you're on there, as I say, it's just a case of just disconnecting this ribbon. So you need to use like a jeweler screwdriver or something to lift the side parts of that little connector there before you try and pull the ribbon out. So I'll do that now. So as I say, it's just a case of just trying to lift the side parts. There's one side up a little bit. Just alternate side to side until you get the thing up properly. That's it, I think. The ribbon should just come out. So I'll just count the number of pins here. 1, 2. Right, so it looks like there's 20 there. So just going to compare side by side to these 2. Yeah, that one's too big, so that's got to be 21. And that one's exactly the same. So here's the actual mod chip. I'm just having a quick look at this. Looks like we've got a PAL there. A PIC microcontroller, just trying to read the part number off that. It looks like a 16C54 something. It's got a scratch over one of the digits. So the PIC's going to be used for just working out the timing there, regards to the signal coming in on the ribbon, and determining what to send out. And this the PAL, and this is that a 74HC157. Yeah, and a 74 HC04. That's just like a NOT gate or something. Hex inverter or something, is it? Crystal for the PIC. What frequency is that? It looks like 8 megahertz, I think. Yeah, 8.4672 megahertz. That's interesting. And then a couple of passive, caps and things there, and a little resistor. So there ain't a lot going on. One thought did cross my mind. If you wanted to, you could actually desolder the connectors here. If you're not using, the particular pair that you're not using, you could desolder them. It may come in useful for some sort of future project. That's something to consider. Of course, there is a benefit in leaving them on there, in that if you ever decide to take the mod chip out, put it in a different Saturn, you're good to go. But yeah, there's not much to do with this. Like I say, I think there's 1 wire required. Trying to spot where it is. Is it marked anywhere? Yeah, it is. There's this copper pad here. 5 volts. So you just need a wire coming from your power supply, your motherboard somewhere, to provide 5 volts to this, and that's it. So hopefully you can see there, second from the right, the way the power supply is at the moment with the switch at the front, that's the 5 volt. Sorry, it's just started raining, it's pretty annoying. And 5 volts comes in straight onto this little PCB here, so that's the power. Wire's long enough, it should extend to within the case here, so I just need to work out, and as you can see I've put the ribbon in there now. That's the original ribbon, so I've just got to just link these up to this, isolate this in some way so that I can sit it on the board, on the shield in there, without it shorting or anything, and I'm done. So I'll just point out here which way around these go. You're not going to be able to see without me doing a macro, and I just can't be bothered with it at this stage. The top connector there, that says 21 pin CD, so that's the socket that goes to the CD. The one underneath, you can see perhaps just there, says MB, so that goes to the motherboard. And it's the same story with these. You've got 20 pin CD is the first one, and then the very bottom one on this board here is the MB for the motherboard, 20 pins, so I'll just connect that in. So there you go, you can see it in position now, just floating loosely. It's quite nice the way that fits in line there, it's not too bad. I don't think it's going to catch. You could actually just mount it somewhere like that there, and it should be okay, I think. So in order to isolate it, I'm just going to use one of these thick plastic CD wallets, perhaps cut this down to size, and mount this underneath, perhaps with some double-sided tape or something, onto the underneath of this PCB. It's annoying because the way it floats, it's kind of protruding on this side a little here, but it should be okay, I think, if I get a good piece of that plastic down and just some double-sided tape to stick it. It should be alright, it's not going to go anywhere, but I'll probably just cover, just to be safe, extend the PVC out here a bit, and this whole area of shielding here, and then it's definitely not going to short on anything. So, not mega clean here, but as you can see, the way I've used the corner here, you've got a layer on the bottom and the flap here, so that you're sort of covering the top a little bit as well, and I've got a separate piece there just covering that back piece of shielding there, just to make sure it's got no chance of shorting onto anything. So that's pretty well isolated. I could just put a bit of tape or something just to tape that down there or something. It's not going to move around, it can move around, but it's pretty held in place with those ribbons really, and there's nothing for it to short on, so I'm comfortable with that. So I'm going to reassemble this now and give it a try, I think. Right, this is not working. It's very, very simple to do this. You can't go wrong really. One thing I've spotted, there's a cap there, and both pins are joined on that cap, which I find extremely unusual. Now, there are some jumpers there that you're supposed to use for the 21 pin configuration, but this is 20, so it's not going to be relevant. I think those caps, the pins on that cap there are joined, and they shouldn't be. Oh no, that's right. I think it's joined to the resistor, so I think that's probably intentional. Or is it? Yeah, it probably is intentional. So, I don't know. It just doesn't work. Get two red blobs. Bit of a mystery. And I've tried disconnecting and reconnecting, and clearly, you can only put these around one way. The way the ribbon is, the edge, the pins are here. Sorry, the way the ribbons go into these, you can only go in one way. The pins are on this side. So when you stick if I show you, when you stick the motherboard connection in here, obviously it comes down this way, so that the pins make the connection on the top side of that bottom socket. So that's correct, and then the pins are on the bottom side of the other connector, which is correct for the ribbon to just go straight in that way. So you can't get it round the wrong way really, and it definitely says on the board there 20 in CD and MB in the bottom right. So other than being something wrong with the pig chip, I'm not really sure. Something's not right somewhere. It's definitely connected to the 5 volt line. I've checked that. I've double checked that in fact. So and the Saturn works. If I disconnect this and connect the ribbon back up, everything works fine. So I'm not sure. Okay, just checking the basic things here. We've got from the 5 volt supply. I've checked this. We've got 5 volts there coming into that pad, I think, if I can get the damn thing to work again, that's fine. And if I check top right of that 7404, yeah, that's right, +5 going there, so that's fine. But then I start thinking, what about ground? There's no pad or anything on here for a ground wire. It says it's a single wire mod, but then I started thinking, well, yeah, okay, where's the ground coming? Is it coming from the ribbon? It seems a bit unusual, that approach, but yeah, you would expect it probably is, because it's only a single wire mod. But if I then connect my probe to that bottom pin, which is the ground pin, I don't get a short. I get like a diode reading or something, or a cap. Right, so this is an update about a week later, on the end of this previous video, obviously. I had this board round the wrong way, despite me saying I knew what the hell I was doing, and I did contact the guy I got this from, just asking for some advice and stuff. I don't know if you can tell from the orientation of this, but it's completely the opposite way round than it was. And it might be a bit more evident of why I had this problem if I just disconnect this ribbon. If I disconnect the CD ribbon here. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but on the first inspection here, I'm like, okay, I've dealt with ribbons before. You can see the metal contact there, the pins, the metal part sort of exposed there. That's the side that needs to go and marry up with. If you look at the socket, if you look at the second one down there, not the top one where the ribbon's already in, but the one below it, you can see the little pins at the top. So you would think that those, the ribbon, the metal facing edge there needs to line up with those pins on the socket, and that's correct. That's the way it works. But what I didn't realise, and this is the first time I've seen this on one of these ribbons, if you flip the ribbon over, you've got metal contacts underneath. And actually on this side, what you're seeing here is a clear piece of PVC over the top of the metal connections. So that's very easy to make that mistake if you've done this sort of thing before and you're just looking at the ribbon there and you go, that's the side that's exposed. Actually, wrong. It's actually on the other side. That's the side that's exposed. And I only noticed it when I looked really closely with a magnifying glass, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. That's round the wrong way. So that's why it was completely doing nothing other than giving me some red blobs on the CD audio, thing. It sort of, cut straight to expected. It thought there was no disc there. Displayed the audio player thing, and I had two red blobs, one in each sort of corner. And I was like, what's going on here? And it was just that, obviously because that's the plastic side was connected there. It wasn't seeing the drive at all. There was no connections, and that ties in with the fact that when I was looking at the doing some connectivity checks. There was no ground. If you think about it, that's logical. The ground's coming from the ribbon. So if the ribbon's making no connection, you're not going to have a ground on this board. So, the experimentation I did there with the ground at the end of the day wasn't required. It is just a single wire, single wire mod. You just need the +5. So that's that. The other thing with this, once I got past that barrier, if you like, and it actually started working, I could read my the original discs and things. I found it wouldn't read CDRs at all, and I've been through an awful lot of different types of media and different burning speeds. I had to order some in different manufacturers. I've tried Sony ones. You can see they're a very silvery sort of looking surface. These Maxell ones again are very silvery with a slight hint of green. And these work in every other system, not a problem. And the burn speed is not a problem. Ultimately, I ended up getting some of these Verbatim 52-speed CDRs. Now, the interesting thing is, I'll just show you, if you look at the pots, and I'll try and zoom in, you're probably not going to be able to see this very well. Can you see, if I just sort of point out where the pot is down there, you can see that little black notch, and there's a black notch on the metal part. I'm not sure how well that's going to focus, but you can see it's pointed, it's turned quite a bit in a clockwise, if you were to look at it face on, in a clockwise position, away from the little notch where it was originally set, which was the same as this original, the original laser that was on here. I think that's pretty much, it's almost in its original orientation. I think I've moved that a little bit actually. If I just adjust this back, or it should be. Not sure how well this is going to focus. Yeah, so that's about where it should be. As you can see, it's almost pointing sort of down that way. So in the case of, you know, the adjustment I've had to make here, I've had to turn it in a clockwise fashion so that it's about there. It's quite a long way away from where it originally was. So I'm not sure whether I've increased the voltage or decreased the voltage, but you know, I've adjusted it in such a way that, you know, I've played around trying to find the sweet spot and tried to move it closer and closer and closer back to its original position, and got to that point where it is at the moment. Now previously, because I missed a step out here, this is once I actually got it working, but before I got it working I ended up having to move it quite a long way back, sort of like, I don't know, almost like that orientation there, where it's, you know, it's almost to the point to the left hand side there, which is, if you look at the little black line, you know, you've got your black line at the top here. Sorry this isn't focusing very well, and you know, it's marked on the pot there, so it's quite a long way from where it was, and that was the point where I first got it seeing a disc. You know, it wouldn't boot, but once I got it in that position, it was actually you know, coming up with a black Sega copyright screen and starting to load a disc. But at that point I was having CD audio problems, and actually I can demonstrate that now. This is the disc that I first got working. So if I put this in, just put the mod back down, take that mod back down after I've just connected the ribbon back up again. Be careful with this, flip it like that, just take that down temporarily, and I'll find a better way of sticking this down. I think I'll probably use a bit more insulation tape, because that little bit there is not quite enough. It's going to spring up that, I think. But if I now switch this on, and I hate working on this way with an exposed, you know, it's in an exposed sort of state, you'll see it will actually start to load, or it should do, I think. Mind you, the laser's quite a way off where it was before. Yeah, you see, so that's loading, and I think the game will actually start to work. So I switch it off, and I'll just force this into CD audio mode by booting with no disc. You can see the laser moving around there. And I'll stick the disc in, and then I'm just going to trick the tray, the switch, you know, just by opening and shutting it. Now this will take us into the CD player, and let's just see. Sorry, I know it's an angle, it's just for the purpose of just showing you something other than nothing really. If I skip track 5 and I'll listen to the audio here. You hear that's like crackly as anything. It really is. Some of them won't even play. Some play fine. That sounds alright. Well, reasonably alright. Yeah, it's noisy. That's certainly crackly. So, basically, and this, I found this very interesting. Sorry, the camera's going all over the bloody place here. Yeah, so I find this. I found something particularly interesting about this, and that is, this particular disc was done in 8 speed. My CD burner will only go, I think the lowest it'll go is 8 speed, or certainly the disc, I think, because the disc dictates it as well. It's not something I'm totally up on, but I do know that from what I've seen in the, you know, the log, if you like, of the burning software on various occasions, is when you specify, you know, I want to burn at 2 speed, it'll come up saying, you know, couldn't get 2 speed, speed mismatch, you know, disc media sort of minimum is 8 speed or whatever, 8 speed set kind of thing. So that's the scenario with this. You know, I was trying to burn these at 2 speed. Yeah, modern burners and modern disc, modern media won't allow you to burn at 2 speed. So that's an issue. And you know, for a while there, I've been tearing my hair out with this, thinking, you know, this is a fruitless exercise unless I can find an old CD burner that burns at 2 speed, and then I can find some old stock of CDRs of the right type, you know, the right substrate and stuff that's compatible with this laser, that'll burn at 2 speed. You know, you're not going to get anywhere with this. But that's not the case. There's just, in my mind, you know, one of the things I found with CDRs in the past, and DVDRs, is whilst they support different burning speeds, it stands to reason that depending on the type of the substrate there, the quality, the manufacturer and all the rest of it, that you're not going to get exactly the same if you were to look at it under a microscope in terms of how it's actually modified, if you like, the particles, the substrate with the laser to make the pits and peaks and things. They're going to be very subtly different based on the speed you've burned it at. So then I start thinking, well, okay, this media is 52 speed. I suspect maybe to get the optimal burn, if you like, out of this, probably needs to be burnt at 52 speed. So that's exactly what I've done. And it was probably one of the last things I did. So I burnt one of these at 52 speed, and it works fine. It's perfect. It's flawless. And I was able to actually adjust the laser voltage, the pots, let's say from where it was, sort of, so that it was pointing, let's say, almost right across to the left-hand side here to where it is now, which is not to about that position there, which is, it's not too far off where it originally was. But again, I'm not clear whether I've increased the voltage or reduced the voltage. A lot of the time they say, adjust the pot. If you adjust it in an anti-clockwise position, you're increasing the voltage. Yeah, it's not always going to be the same, is it? It's going to vary from system to system. That may be the case on PlayStations, but on this I may have increased it, and I suspect I probably have had to increase it. So the ultimate life of this laser here is not going to be what it would be if I was just using my original discs. But I do want to be able to back up some of my discs. I mean, I'll give you an example of one that I've just downloaded, and that's my Die Hard, because it's a bit. I'll just clean this up a bit. I've just thrown it across the room. That's the reason why, I've just thrown the bloody thing. Probably just introduced a couple of scratches on it. But yeah, you get scratches on these, and it's one of my pet hates really with CD systems. I love the fact the cartridges, they don't really wear, yeah, they can get little marks and corrosion and thing on the connections and things, but you can always clean them up. There's always something you can do to recover them. But with CDs and DVDs and stuff, it's not the same. So I just thought you might find that interesting. I mean, the main thing is at least I've got this working now, which is, I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought, I was actually considering getting a newer version of Saturn, because this is a VA0. It's the very, very early revision here, and I suspect on newer revisions you're going to have perhaps a different laser assembly there, and it's the laser that ultimately is the problem here. I don't know why. It's like I said, I messed around with the spindle height. I messed around with these pots. These are all things I've not shown on this video. It's now all set back originally as it was. Sort of within an ohm or something on each of these pots and things. Just the laser pot that ultimately ended up adjusting. And there was another step here, and I'll just mention just for the record, and that is the original laser. I always keep these things, just, you never know, there might be something off this assembly I can use in future. But I thought, well, let's put the original laser back in, because when I swapped out the BTL driver chip for the Saturn, there was always this thing in the back of my mind thinking, did the laser really need replacing? Was it just the BTL driver and the spindle that needed adjusting? So I put this back in, and it is completely dead. I want to say it's completely dead. Obviously it doesn't read a disc. It doesn't matter what position the pot's in. But the key thing here is when you first switch it on with no disking, the lens doesn't move at all up and down. There's no attempt to focus. So I actually suspect that with this, actually, the laser might be okay, and I suspect it's probably the focus that's got an issue here. You've got like a couple of I don't know what they are. It's like magnetic sort of things in there. What they call it's like a solenoid type thing. That's variable. So you give it a specific amount of voltage, and it'll raise and lower the laser itself. And that's not happening. Nothing at all. So I thought that was interesting. So I will keep this. I think it'd be pretty hard to actually remove the diode. It might be the optical bit. I might be able to reuse that at some point. If we can get that out of there, desolder it, that might be all that's required. I don't know, but the laser, the focus on there is certainly not working. So that was worthwhile anyway, and that's kind of put my mind at rest that when I did that video and replaced the laser in the first part, it needed doing. That was absolutely essential. That was the first part of the problem there. It could also be, the other thing I've been thinking with this, when the fact that the focus is not working on there, it could be that the driver chip has destroyed that, because the driver chip was faulty with regards to the spindle, the motor itself. Sometimes when you overload those things, other parts of the same chip can fail as well, and I'm just wondering if it output too much voltage or something to the focus part of this as part of that failure. That's certainly a possibility. But anyway, I will keep that. So anyway, I thought you found that interesting. The main thing is, like I say, this is just a subset of the discs that I've been using, and ultimately I've binned about 10. These are the last 4. I've gone through about 14 different ways of burning, using different software, using different speeds, different types of media, all sorts of different media. And I guess it's also worth noting here that whilst you can only see 3 or 4 different types of media here, I've got loads of old sort of discs and things backed up. I've got backups of all my old audio CDs, and I got many of those out just to put the Saturn into audio mode to see what media worked with it and what didn't. And actually, nothing worked with it, and I mean absolutely nothing. I must have about 15 different types of media for audio that I've used over the last 20 years, and none of them read on the Saturn in its default laser configuration. Even when you adjust the laser, it makes no difference at all. So the only discs I can find at the moment, like I said, these Verbatim 52 speed, and they've got a white label to print on and stuff, and they work flawlessly with the laser in a specific position. And I guess one more thing here that could be at play, and it has crossed my mind, is it the actual covering? You've got a white solid covering here, which is part and parcel of the reflection. So you've got bits of shit on here at the moment. It's part and parcel of the surface, if you like, that helps with the laser focus. Whereas you look at something like this, it's got gaps and parts of labels. Are these interfering with it? Is it a case of it shine? The focus is going beyond where it should be and getting confused from these things, and it's a similar sort of scenario with this. Is it the colour of the substrate? Is it the type of substrate? There's all sorts of things. One of the final things, just before I go, I did try the same thing, burning it at its native speed, 52. This is 52. Burnt it at 52. Still didn't work. Won't read it at all. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.